An argument from ignorance fallacy states that a proposition is true because it has not yet been proven to be false. It is usually a false dichotomy or false dilemma fallacy, because just because something has not yet been proven false, that doesn't automatically mean that it's true. One example of the argument from ignorance is the statement, "Absence of evidence is not evidence of absence." While it's true that a lack of evidence doesn't automatically prove a theory to be false, it most certainly doesn't prove it to be true either. That would require evidence in favor of the theory. The argument from ignorance hopes to avoid providing such evidence by attempting to shift the burden of proof onto the opponent. The classic argument from ignorance involves inserting "God did it" into any gap in our knowledge or information. When primitive humans lacked explanations for such things as thunder and lightning, they invented explanations by creating thunder gods and lightning gods. These gods of the gaps disappeared when we discovered what was really causing thunder and lightning. In modern times, the argument from ignorance often occurs in debates about the origins of the universe. Theists claim that the only way the universe could have come into existence is through the act of some creator god. Scientists, on the other hand, may not know exactly how the universe started as yet, but are perfectly content to state that they don't know, but they're working on it. Creationists, on the other hand, appeal to ignorance by saying that since you scientists don't know yet how the universe came to be, the only correct answer is that God did it. This tendency to insert God as an explanation anytime a mystery is encountered is called God of the Gaps, because theists are fulfilling the gaps in knowledge with purely invented explanations like God did it. Note that this claim, God created this or God did that, has exactly zero explanatory power. It doesn't say how God did it. In other words, the claim contains no useful information whatsoever. The problem with invoking the God of the Gaps every time a mystery is encountered is that creationists will look like fools when the origins of the universe are fully understood, just as they look like fools for claiming that thunder was the work of thunder gods, once we understood climate science and knew what was really going on. An argument from ignorance occurs anytime someone tries to shift the burden of proof onto their opponent by telling them that it's up to them to disprove the speaker's theory. A common way this manifests is when theists argue for the existence of their God by saying, "You can't prove God doesn't exist." While this is true, it's only true because it's a logical impossibility to disprove the existence of anything. So when met with this type of argument, you can simply answer with something like, "Prove your God doesn't exist? Sure thing, I'd be happy to. First, you prove that Loki doesn't exist, and then I'll use your same method to disprove your God." My favorite example of this type of refutation is Eric the God-eating penguin. If God exists, then Eric the God-eating penguin must eat him. Therefore, if any God comes into existence, he will automatically be taken out of existence by being eaten by Eric. So because of Eric, no God can exist. You might claim that Eric doesn't exist, but if you make such a claim, then I can use the argument from ignorance against you and tell you that it's your burden of proof to demonstrate that Eric does not exist. And if you can somehow manage to prove that Eric doesn't exist, then the same argument would apply to your God as well. So in either case, your God doesn't exist. Ultimately, the way to defeat an argument from ignorance is to shift the burden of proof back onto your opponent by pointing out that it's not your job to disprove their theory. It's their job to demonstrate that their theory is correct by providing their own evidence to support it. If they cannot, then this doesn't mean that their theory isn't true, it just means that they can't support it with credible evidence. So there's no reason to believe it until they can.